In this video, I'm going to tell you about the S&P 500. Hi guys, this is Miss Doctor and welcome to my channel. If you're new here, please make sure you subscribe and click on the bell icon. And if you get any kind of value out of this video, make sure you give me a thumbs up and share it with your friends. And if you are new to investing, then you might have heard about this and you might not be 100% sure what it is. This is a beginner's video about S&P 500. Just to give you an idea of what it is and why is it good, why is it so often mentioned, and just to clear things up really for you. So let's dive in. First thing that you need to do about S&P 500 is that it is an index fund. An index fund is basically like a pot of funds. Someone explained it like this and I think it's really cool. Let's imagine that there is a cookie shop. Okay, so there are different type of cookies, like 100 different type of cookies in this cookie shop, and each of the cookies cost £1. Now, in order to find out which one is your favorite, you would potentially like to try it all, but obviously each of them are £1 and it's like 100 cookies and it just doesn't make sense to buy it all just to find out which one's your favorite. So now let's imagine that the cookie shop came up with a basket which is, let's say, £20, but it includes a little bit, like a bite size of each of these cookies. So each of the 100 different type of cookies, just the bite size of them in this pot, and that's only £20. So basically you can get this £20 sharing basket where you can try all the 100 different type of cookies, and obviously you can find out which one you like. But the idea is that this pot is basically the index fund. Basically the S&P 500 includes 500 companies in America, and these are the best companies of America, and you get a little bit of all of these companies in the index fund. So when you buy an S&P 500 index fund, one of them, you basically bought a bite size of 500 different companies. So that is what I call being diversified. Diversified is another expression basically that you might have heard in investing videos, is to have your ground a little bit on each of the different sectors. Obviously these 500 companies, there might be technology companies, there might be healthcare companies, or all sort of it could be financial sector companies. So they're like different type of companies. So by buying an index fund, you kind of have a bite size of different sectors and different companies as well. So when it comes to S&P 500, there is a criteria that companies need to meet in order to be in this pot. And the criteria is actually set by a group of committee. So this is an actual people behind it. So there is a committee, a group of committee who decide what are the different criteria to get into this group, to get into the S&P 500. Another interesting fact about the S&P 500 is that some companies own a bigger share of the fund. So about 10 companies, the largest companies, actually own 40% of the index fund. So companies like Apple, Microsoft, they obviously have a bigger chunk of this index fund. So when you buy a fund, you bought a little bit of bigger chunk of the best companies. That's also something to keep in mind, something to remember when you buy this fund. But all in all, it's considered to be a less risky investment strategy than choosing an actual company, just one single company, and investing in that. Obviously, if you buy one single company's share, then when that company goes down, your share value it's gone down as well. But when it comes to the index fund, obviously it can go up and down. So in the investment, it can go always up and down. but we're looking at 500 different companies. So it might be that one company really drastically goes down, but then the other company kind of stabilizes it, the value of the index fund. So it's considered to be a less risky investment to invest in index fund than in an individual fund. Another interesting thing to bear in mind as well is the compound interest. Albert Einstein talked about the compound interest, and he actually said that compounding is the seventh wonder of the world. I don't know if it's true, but you know, apparently Albert Einstein said that. And the reason is because when we talk about compound interest is, let's say you put £100 into the index fund, then in the first year you get about, I don't know, 7% of that £100, which would be £7. But then the next year you get 7% of the money in there, which in this case, £107. So you actually get more and more for your money as the years go by. So compounding interest is often talked about just as like a snowball effect. You know how when you were little you had a snowball and it was just this big, and you started rolling it on the ground and the snowball became bigger and bigger, and as you were rolling it, you know, the actual cycle became bigger and bigger, and that's how compounded interest is as well. So as year goes by, you get a lot more for your money than in the first year. Another thing that you need to know about S&P 500, and I would like to finish with this, is that it's not going to give you an incredible return. I mean, it's going to give you more return than if you stick your money in a savings account and you get 0.01% interest. It's going to give you about 7 to 10% interest on an annual basis. It's enough to, let's say, beat the inflation. So if you want to store your money somewhere instead of a savings account or under your mattress or any other silly places like that, then you're probably better off with a little bit of calculated risk, such as this one, such as putting your money in an index fund, which again, it could go down, it could go up, but it always goes up. So the market in the long run always goes up. And this is why they say that index fund is something that you should be storing your money in for the long term. It's almost like you're buying a little house. When anybody buys a house, they don't just buy it for 1 year, 2 years. A lot of the times they buy it for at least a decade or a couple of decades or even longer period of time. So this is the case with stocks and shares and index funds as well. So when you buy it, consider holding it for at least a minimum of 5 years, if not 10 or more, to get the real value for your money and get the real compounding interest going on. So I hope I cleared a little bit of confusion there, and you know, if this is the beginning of your investment journey, then I think this video was very useful to you, and if it was useful, make sure you like the video and also share it with your friends. And check back for more, because I am going to talk about investment and saving money a little bit more on this channel. This channel is mainly about personal development and personal finance. So if that is your interest, then make sure you subscribe and check back later. See you next time. Bye.